to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
What's up, Cowboys Nation?
What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here. Of course, you got Kelly Nine. I can't even get it out. Kelly K9. He's here. Maybe I had a little too much to drink, but we're getting this party started. If Kelly's here, you know it's Thursday night. You know we're live. You know we're making things happen. We can't redo things, so I flubbed one. He's got the drink in hand. Hopefully, you guys saw the interview that we put up. It was last night, but it was a good interview. It took a little while to get it uploaded, but came up this morning. Got a lot of good feedback from it. Brad Johnson, I mean, he was funny. He was great. And I mean, some of the stories he told, and I did, Kelly, I cut a clip of the Cowboys. We're going to drop that tomorrow of just, when he's talking about that 2007 season. And
yeah,
man, it was a good time with him. We probably could have talked for 4 hours.
Oh yeah, he's a good dude. He was easy to talk to. Great interview. Just good personality, good guy. Had some good stories. You love talking football with anybody, but especially with somebody that's been to the top of the mountain, won the Super Bowl, played with some of the most, he's played with, like you said the other day, he's played with Deion Sanders, Randy Moss. I mean, he's played with some of the greats, some of the all-time greats, man, Hall of Famers. And yeah, just a great interview overall, man. So if you hadn't checked it out, make sure you go check it out. So I see the chat's already popping off here. There's a bunch of people in the chat. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. It's a great interview.
Absolutely. We love all you guys. So many to name, but Doug and Clarence and Vince and Bud and I see Michael on there and all the, I mean, just everyone. I appreciate it. And we appreciate it. We've got a lot of great things going on. I actually, couldn't make it work with Kelly, but I interviewed Charlie Waters. Those who guys don't know, he was on the team in the 70s. He had probably one of the best safety tandems in NFL history with him and Cliff Harris. Just some great stories. Unfortunately, I'll just be upfront with it. He couldn't do a video call, so it was a phone interview. So if you don't want to look at my mug, in the camera by myself all the time, you can just, if you're at your office, just hit play. The stories that he tells, I mean, it's great history of the Cowboys. And it's like I was telling him, the only thing that pisses me off is you hear these stories like, Jesus, man, it was so great in these days. 5 Super Bowls in 10 years, winning 2 of them, never having a losing season his entire career. It's like, oh, whatever happened to those days? How come we can't get it now?
Yeah. It'd be nice to get. It's not nice to sprinkle in just a little bit of that. We don't have to have the whole package. Just give us a little taste. We just want a little taste.
I know, and I don't want to ruffle your feathers, Kelly, because I know that you've been in a little bit of Twitter war with some clowns, some Eagle fans. But it was pointed out to me that this is their 3rd Super Bowl since the 2000s, and so they've been to 3 since we've been to the last one in '95. That doesn't sit well with me. I'm hoping they lose. That way they're 1-3 and we can laugh at them.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like, that I don't have a leg to stand on because they have had more postseason success than us. So, I mean, what can I say to that? But on the flip side of that coin, I'm never going to back down. I mean, these guys they're not going to come at me and make me back down. I'm always going to defend my team. I had to block a couple of guys today because it just got to be a little too much. I said, I'm not waste my energy on you guys because you're not worth my energy. My energy is going to be more focused towards Cowboys Nation and bringing them great content and bringing them into the fold and kind of getting them going with some stuff and looking forward to things next year because nobody from Cowboys Nation is wanting to see the Eagles win the Super Bowl. We all know that, but coming at me about my Christmas Eve video, like I'm supposed to be ashamed, like it's gonna embarrass me that they're talking about that. I'm still gonna be pumping up my Cowboys next year. Week 1, I don't give a damn. It's Cowboys. This ain't about the Eagles, so they can catch the vapors from us. Well, I don't give a damn about no damn Eagles fans. You ain't stopping the K9 train, and you ain't stopping the Mike Hype train.
No.
Get on with that.
No, it ain't gonna happen. And they learned valuable lessons. The thing I'll give you, you're better than me. That's where I have to get help sometimes. My brother, he's great with this stuff, but you come up and you hit him hard. You don't take it easy on him. You go for the jugular right from the bat, right from the start. So I give you credit for that. And you always put them in their place. And again, it's what I love, and I don't want to make this an Eagle show. It's what I love about these guys. They're in the Super Bowl. You think they'd be enjoying the Super Bowl? I mean, if I was them, I would be getting my souvenirs. I'd be going get my shirts, my hats. I'd be watching NFL Network and all the hype, for the Super Bowl and everything about it. But they're trolling Cowboys because it still bothers them. It still hurts them that we dropped 40 on them. On that defense that they want to hype up. They're so lucky. They got so lucky things worked out the way they did. We dropped 40 on that vaunted defense that they said is rivaling the 85 Bears. Don't disrespect the 85 Bears like that. That's all I got to say. Now you get me hyped up.
Yeah, it's hard not to get hyped up about that. But I mean, I said that too, and I had a bunch of people telling me, hey, like, man, listen, you would definitely be talking at us if you guys were in the Super Bowl. And I said, no, because it's a 12-round title fight. And you guys are in the 11th round and you're talking all that noise. You ain't got the win yet. You ain't punched your ticket yet, because I promise you, if they don't win this Super Bowl and they don't win, then going to the Super Bowl, I don't care that you made it to the Super Bowl. It's not about making it to the Super Bowl. That's winning the Super Bowl. So be happy you're in the Super Bowl, cool. But don't come at me talking to me like you already won the Super Bowl, because, hey, listen, man, the clip is loaded and ammunition's coming right back at them if they don't punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. Trust.
They better. They'll be 1-4. 1-4 or 1-3 in Super Bowls. Those are fourth ones. So 1-3 in Super Bowls. That's not the record that you want. That's rivaling the Buffalo Bills.
That's right. That's
but
right.
Anyway.
And thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. I saw the comment up there for a second. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And I tell you, I've been redoing my Twitter. I don't know about you, Kelly. I never realized that people aren't because I'll say with you, Kelly, I didn't hardly this season. I could never find some of your videos. I'd have to go out and find, search your name. And I don't know what Elon's doing. I don't know what people are doing. So what I started doing is updating. You can make a list, and you can have a list within your follow, the people you follow. And that way you could see their, you can kind of go on there and see all the people's tweets. So I've been working on that because I've been missing the party. I've been searching it out. Thankfully, I know you well enough, so I know you're posted. So I'm going to find it. But for all the other people, man, it's like, man, they're missing out.
Yeah, and that's the thing too that I don't get out, and then I'll get off my soapbox and stuff. But they come over here and they're running their mouths and they're talking their shit about how and you was screaming and yelling after a win. Well, guess what? I show up after every win. I show up after every loss, and I celebrate the wins. I criticize the losses, but one way or another, I'm always going to tell it how I feel it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But for them to act like that, I sit there and only talk after a win, that's bullshit. And I don't even come after Eagles fans. When they lose, I'm not saying anything. When they lost games this year, I laughed a little bit, but I wasn't going onto their timelines and stalking them and bringing up posts from 6 months ago. Like, to me, that's just weak. That's insecure. They need me to validate them. Listen, I'm a Cowboys fan. If you're an Eagles fan and you want validation, go to the parking ticket place, because I don't validate shit.
That's what we're talking about. And then when you're down after that loss, your boy's always there. I get you feeling better that next day. I get you hyped up, get you refocused. Let the anger out. I always say we got a 24-hour rule. We get all pissed off. But after that, it's all about the Cowboys. But my man Claudio, talk about these Finns. He's my boy from South Florida. Cowboys are playing Miami. We're coming down. We're coming down at the Hard Rock Stadium. Old Joe Robbie, as we all know it back in the day, and we're gonna put a beating on you. So you can talk about it now, but it's going to be fun. I just hope the game ends in September because it's too hot. I'm getting past that age where I can handle that heat in that stadium. It gets hot as hell. It's like an oven.
Yeah, make that a December game.
Yes, we definitely want that. So, but I'll be there, and I'm bringing the crew, and we're gonna be tailgating. So hopefully, we're gonna get together with some Dolphin fans, some Cowboy fans, have a good time. We're not bitter rivals. We have a little bit of respect for each other, so we can have a good time. But he knows Cowboys always take over that stadium, so it'll be like our ninth home game of the season. It'll work out well. So
those are always nice.
No. So, hey, I wanted to get into it. A lot of not a lot, but it's Super Bowl week before, not the week, but the week before Super Bowl week, and the Cowboys still seem to be on everyone's mind. I was having lunch today, trying to enjoy, nice. I'm trying to, watch the diet a little bit, trying to lose a few pounds. I had my salad inside the sports bar, and lo and behold, on ESPN, they're talking about the Cowboys, and I see Jerry Jones, and I see Dak Prescott, and they just can't get enough of it. So I wanted to play you a clip, and then everyone watching, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts. But Kelly, I want to get your thoughts on it. I got three. They're short clips of Jerry Jones interview, and I'll probably mess up the order, but I think maybe this one he's talking about how the fans should be positive. So we'll see if that's it. If not, we'll flip the script and we'll talk about what he says.
24, 25 football games over the last two seasons. Dwell on the fact that we've been one of the leading winning teams. Dwell on the fact that we've had some of the best personnel in the National Football League. Dwell on the fact that you have Dak. I like that. Dwell on the fact that you have Dak. Seriously. Focus on that. Focus on a Dak being better. He's right. He will be better at turn.
So what do you think about that? He's just telling fans to don't be so negative. Dwell on some of the positives that we've had, the seasons and everything. So what's Kelly K9 feeling about that?
I feel like I wanna dwell on the fact that we ain't been past the divisional round since the 90s. I wanna dwell on the fact that the Rams go all in, the Eagles go all in. They both make Super Bowl appearances. I wanna dwell on the fact that you got rid of Amari Cooper and told us that we were good at wide receiver, and Dak didn't have nobody to throw to but some goddamn grocery baggers. Dwell on the fact that the Cowboys are sitting here and we're the goddamn laughing stock of the NFL because we can't get past the divisional round. Meanwhile, you got the damn Philadelphia Eagles playing in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm dwelling on right now, Jerry. God damn it. I'll tell you what, man, he sure does a hell of a job trying to sell you, selling sugar to Willy Wonka, man. I mean, the dude, come on, man. Like, just, I don't know, man. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to put a positive spin on it. I'm trying to keep a positive attitude about things too, but it's hard, man. It's hard not to think to see your division rival playing in the Super Bowl again since, they won it in 2017. Now they're back in it again. And you're just sitting there going like, how can we not get to that? How can you got the same resources as them. We've had some super talented players coming through the building. Like, why not us? Right. Yeah. What's the missing ingredient there? And it's very frustrating as a fan to not, to be sitting on the couch and our team sitting on the couch this weekend, once again.
No, and not to put fuel on the fire, but this Eagles team a couple years ago, I think they win 4 games, and yeah, the Niners won 4 or 5 games. And, the Cowboys have been consistent. I mean, they talked about Dak Prescott. He's been to the playoffs 4 of his 6 years. He's never had a losing record. We've won 12 games back to back. So, you hear that, you hear what he's saying. Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, it's like you and I talked about earlier. All that matters is the championships. If you don't have the rings to show for it, it really don't much matter. The Giants, we talked about with Brad Johnson that 2007 season. They shouldn't have, they battled to make the playoff, barely made the playoffs. They had to go on the road 3 games. They beat Tampa. Then they come up to us, the number 1 seed. And I'll just be honest, as a Cowboys fan, I remember that day vividly. It was like, hey, we're going to the show. We're going to stomp these guys like we did the last 2 times. It's going to be over and it's going to be done. And we got slapped in the mouth, and it was just another heartbreaking loss. And that's what it just seems like year after year. It's we don't get beat 30-0, or 31-10 or something. We get our hearts ripped out when we lose in the playoffs. And that's been that way for 5+ years. And, so all that stuff that he's saying, if you're the Cleveland Browns, if you're the Detroit Lions, if you're one of those teams like that, hey, man, probably sounds pretty damn good. And if I was a fan, I'd be pumped up. But as Cowboy fans, it's 27 years. This shit's got to stop, for lack of a better word. They got to figure this out and get over the hump, because something is there. And Brad touched on it during our interview, and get your thoughts on it, is the mental part of it. Is this just becoming a culture where it's here we go again? Because it seems like it's that way.
Well, yeah, I don't know, I don't know how the players approach it and how they're able to like clear their minds and get a reset. But I feel like that, at a certain point in time, what I think every human being, no matter what level you're playing on, I feel like they all have that self-doubt that start to creep in, you know what I mean? And so how could they not, you know what I mean? How could some of these players not have this start to maybe affect their psyche a little bit? And I know they have confidence in their beliefs and their talents and whatnot, but it's just, the one constant, and I can get why some of the fans say that this is a Jerry thing, because the one constant through all this is Jerry. So, if you're sitting there looking at it from an objective point, you're like, well, what's the one constant that's been there this entire time, through the coaches, through the different quarterbacks, players, rosters? No matter what you look at, the one constant is Jerry. So I'm not blaming it on him. I'm not saying it's Jerry. I think Jerry wants to win. I think he does a lot to try to make this team. But, when he sits there and he's sitting there spoon feeding you these same old lines every year, you've got to look in the mirror and also kind of come to these fans and understand where we're coming from, where our frustration lies. You're the owner of the team. You've seen it. We're living through it. We're still showing up to the games. We're buying merchandise, and you've really not given this fan base a whole lot to cheer about since 1996. And that's a long goddamn time. There's some people sitting there wondering, am I going to see a Super Bowl before I die?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. And it's just, you and I, we talked about it. We've seen it, right? So we're at the good enough age to where we're enjoying the 90s, but your kids like mine, the only thing they know is disappointment with the Cowboys. They don't know. They haven't seen it. And it's to your point, and you've seen it at the end of the seasons. You've had to battle it. I've battled it. We're the whipping boys, man. We take the heat, and we're in the front line of the fire. Cowboys Nation. I just mean this as a fan base as a whole. We're the passionate ones, and and we stand up for our team and we defend them. But it's just like we just keep getting punched in the mouth, and it's got to change. And I think my man Jose Ultra Cowboy kind of touched on it, and it was going to be one of the other videos is with the change at coordinator with Kellen Moore. And he tweeted out, you and I kind of touched on it, he tweeted out sometimes change is good. It wasn't really a knock on the Cowboys, but I just think it's kind of run its course. And they've had a top offense, but again, like one of the comments, it says right here, and it's exactly what I said, that second and 2 before half, trying to be cute instead of just, like Jimmy Johnson used to say, don't be cute, be good.
Yeah.
Instead of running that ball in there and forcing it, they got cute, paid for it. Instead of being up, they're down at half. And I just think everything went south from there. And that's what we talk about, I think, with Kellen Moore, is it's not the numbers. Some people call them empty calories or whatever. It's not the yards and the numbers and all that stuff. It's a situational play calling. It's when he's up against, a tough coordinator and they're making adjustments in the second half. We saw it, You know, we blew a lead against Jacksonville, blew a lead against the Packers, and it's just, something's got to change. Can't stay with the norm.
Yeah, and I think getting rid of Kellen was the right call. And I mean, I know that there is a portion, I should say, of the fan base. I feel like for the majority of them, most people agree that it was time to make a change. We all knew that the change wasn't going to be Dak. I mean, we all knew that. We knew it. So, hearing them talk about Dak, that they're committed to Dak, saw a lot of that today. That's no surprise to me. We knew they weren't going to move on from Dak Prescott. And like in the interview with Brad Johnson, he talked about last night. He said, you know what, Cowboys fans, you should be thankful for Dak Prescott because he's a good quarterback. And I mean, I'm going to trust a guy that played quarterback in the NFL before I'm going to trust, Joey user 2699823, whatever, telling me about what a good quarterback is, because I get it. Look, we're all frustrated, man. We want to see wins. So when we see Dak Prescott play poor, it's easy to point the finger and say, Dak Prescott, you suck. I mean, I was pissed off at Dak. I was critical of him. I still am. I still think that he's got to do better in bigger situations. But you know what? Both things can be true. You can say that Dak needs to play better in crucial situations, but you can also say that the play calling has been shit in crucial situations, which it has. Kellen Moore can fill up the stat sheet. He can put a lot of points. He can have you on all these high ranking. But what good does that do if your offense can't come through in the big moments? What good does it do when you go to play a San Francisco team and their defense makes your offense look vanilla? Because then none of that means anything. It's just cream. It's cream filling. That's all it is. There's no substance to it. And that's what I feel with Kellen Moore. He just didn't, like you said, the times where he'd get cute, you run these little, reverse or a jet sweep when you're in the red zone and you're going, what the fuck, man? It's first and goal from like the 5 or 6. What are we running a reverse here for, man?
Yeah.
Run the ball, run the damn ball. That's our strength. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'll say, I know Doug made a comment about it. I don't think there's, at least for me, and I'm sure Kelly, you feel the same way. There is no doubt that Jerry wants to win as bad as the fans. I mean, you see it. You see the hurt when we lose. You see the frustration. You've seen. So I don't doubt it for a minute. And that's where, we talked about again with Brad about, he did talk about Jerry as an owner. He had a lot of positive things to say about him. I don't blame him so much. This team has a talent. I mean, people are saying, hey, Jerry, this team has the talent. Now they made a couple mistakes, and you touched on one of them. And maybe if you're going to let Amari Cooper go, and he kind of talked about it, he said the value of what they were getting for the value that they were paying him, they just didn't see it. You better damn well have a plan. And he admitted the plan was Tolbert, and they thought that Tolbert was going to be able to get further along, and it just, that didn't happen. Ultra Cowboy, I was going to say something about Tolbert because he always hammers me on him because I was very high on him because I saw him play a lot in college. So that didn't work out, and and that's the one thing I'll say with this team and Steven and Jerry that they do, and they rely on their rookies to be instant impact. And they've been fortunate. I mean, we've drafted very well. And when you get a Bland that's a 5th round pick that, 5 interceptions and he's starting by the end of the year, and you get a CeeDee Lamb and a Micah Parsons and Diggs and all these guys, that have come in and been able to contribute immediately, you're living on the edge. And the edge is when you let a big time receiver go and you don't have, and that guy doesn't step up behind him, you're going to be in trouble because they were left with nothing.
Yeah, and then the thing was too is that okay, so they let Amari go, they let him go, but you see that what some other teams got for receivers, and you're going, we got a 5th for Amari Cooper. I mean, I think that's what pissed a lot of fans off. I mean, I feel like we got cheated out of that deal. I feel like they just wanted to ship him out and get rid of him at any cost, because you can't. I mean, there's no way in hell that we couldn't have got at least a 3rd for Amari Cooper. No way in hell. I saw some of the other wide receiver trades that went down this year. That you're looking at it going, well, Amari Cooper's just as good as that dude. And so. I don't know, man. And not only that, so when they did that, they freed up some money. They didn't get Randy Gregory back in the fold. They didn't get Amari. So they had this money sitting out there, and you're thinking, all right, we got some money to play with. Now let's go and get an addition. And I don't think fans would have been – I think it would have lessened the blow of losing Amari Cooper if they'd done something with that money. Either sign a key defensive player or get a wide receiver that's capable of helping Dak Prescott out. But they didn't do that.
Yeah,
they sat on their hands and they kept that money. And for what? I mean, what are you doing with that money? Are you gonna, do it, use it this? I mean, there didn't seem to be anything that made us fans feel better the way that they handled that situation. So sitting on your hands with that money in your pocket just makes me feel like, what are we really doing here? You say you're all in, but are you really all in? Like, you're not showing us that, because at least if you dumped money into bringing a free agent in and that guy didn't pan out, at least I could say, hey, they tried. You know what I mean? Yeah. They tried to bring in an Ndamukong Suh. They tried to bring in, because the Eagles were good this year, all year consistent. Didn't stop them from signing some key free agents along the way to try to shore up their run game, to try to shore up their weaknesses. We didn't do that. You know what I mean? We were kind of kicking the tires around on a couple of guys. I mean, T.Y. Hilton wasn't a bad addition, but I mean, outside of that, that same old MO, they're not wanting to spend money in free agency, and it's just frustrating to see,
especially on offense. Let's play one more clip. I got two other ones, and let's see what he says on this one.
Focus on that, and focus on a coach that's come in here and in 3 years, and what we're trying to do has had the results that we've had. I understand why, when you look back and saying, well, San Francisco and Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl in 25 years, okay? And haven't won a Super Bowl in 25 years. Mm-hmm. I understand that. San Francisco's in the same boat.
So, again, he's justifying the San Francisco, they haven't won a Super Bowl since 94. We were 95. So we're both kind of on the same boat. Let me just play the last one, because I think this was the last one. It was about more of the offensive coordinators, because I want to get into more a little bit too.
Young guy at that role? Because I know you like to develop coaches sometimes.
Someone about my age. One that's open to new ideas, but got a few of his own.
You mentioned two head coaches, so you look at Quinn as the head coach of defense and Mike the head coach of offense.
Well, that's a good way to do it. I don't want to say that because Mike's the head coach, but we have a unique opportunity to get the very best here.
Right.
And I think that we have an outstanding Super Bowl winner in Mike that has got proven abilities as a play caller.
So they're getting in so I wanted to get into the offensive coordinator. So we talked about with Moore leaving. Mike McCarthy, it hasn't been announced, but obviously a lot of people are running with it that he's going to be calling the plays. They're bringing a couple guys in to interview and this and that. What is your thoughts on Mike McCarthy, being the play caller and running that offense?
If I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm giving that. I'm hiring somebody. I'm bringing somebody in if I'm Mike McCarthy, because what I feel like is happening right now with the Cowboys is they're setting this up. Mike McCarthy, this is your. We're going to let you make the decision. We're putting this onus on you, because that's what it sounds like they're doing, which kudos to, Jerry and them for letting him do it versus saying, hey, we're going to bring in an OC. We're going to bring in a guy we like. They're letting Mike, he's the cook. He's the chef. They're going to let him cook. So let him cook. But I don't know if I'm super excited about Mike McCarthy calling the plays. I'd rather him bring in an OC and let him focus on just, coaching. Let him be the head coach. Because I just feel like a lot of times when you got a head coach that has both duties, where he's having to be the head coach and coaching a unit, I just feel like it rarely does it pan out well for them. So, I think Mike McCarthy should, bring in an OC, man. There's a lot of bright young minds out there, that a lot of people that would love to work with Dak Prescott and work with some of the talent we have on this offensive side of the ball. So, in my opinion, for McCarthy, I would rather see him bring in an OC. But, at the end of the day, look, I'm going to trust Mike McCarthy to do what he thinks is best for the team. I think he's made some pretty good decisions. And, I'm going to trust him that he's going to do what's best for the team, and he's going to, do what needs to be done to win.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about it. I know I've talked about it on some other shows, is I mean, he's called plays. I'm not as concerned about that. He's been successful. He's had really good offenses. People forgetting Kansas City. I mean, Joe Montana, you're going back to Rich Gannon. You're going back to. He had a stint in San Francisco, but I mean, they were kind of going through a little transition. I think they had Tim Rattay or something. He was with the Saints when they had the two running backs with McAllister and Ricky Williams. I want to say Aaron Brooks was a quarterback. I could be wrong, get my years all mixed up. And then, of course, in Green Bay with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So he's been successful calling plays. A lot of these guys do it. I mean, you look at the coaches. Look at the main coaches in the playoffs. Most of them all were offensive-minded coaches. And I always said from the beginning, when they hired Mike McCarthy, you had to clean house, and they didn't. Jerry Jones was hot on Kellen Moore, and he wanted to keep him. But you cannot hire a coach and then tell him, especially an offensive coach, and tell him that that's going to be his offensive coordinator. You have cut the legs from under him. You clipped him of whatever. You can use any terminology you want, but it don't work. And you saw McCarthy, especially this year, being a little bit more critical. Side comments. I don't like, this type of offense. I wouldn't run this kind of, this system or these routes. I don't like that. And so he was setting the table up, and it was something was going to give, this season, between McCarthy and Moore. And I think the team made the right decision. I know there was a comment about Dak needing to learn a new offense. I mean, he's a quarterback, NFL quarterback. It happens. They got plenty of time. I'm sure they'll keep some of the terminologies, or they'll make the transition. If you watch, I know Law Nation put it on some of McCarthy's QB schools that he was doing. The dude is underrated as an offensive mind, and especially one with a quarterback. He doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's a Cowboys coach. And it's just real easy to bash on the Cowboys coach. It's something easy to do. Jason Garrett was kind of made that our thing because we held on to him so long. But McCarthy's he's a different animal. So I'm just telling you guys, I think it was a good decision. I'm very comfortable with McCarthy, running that offense if he chooses, or they bring in a guy, or they've got a guy on staff like Schottenheimer. They got some advisors that he's close with, that it would be kind of a collaboration of minds and running their type of offense.
Yeah. And I mean, as long as they get, continue to, give Dak some help. Don't have him coming into the season where he's starting the season with, CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, Gallup wasn't even playing. And then it was, his receivers were pretty shitty to start the season. So
Dennis Houston.
Dennis Houston. I was trying to think of the name. It's Dennis Houston. And so, get him some help, draft him receiver, pick up a receiver in free agency, bring in probably going to need to bring in another running back. I'm just say that, but they need to give Dak some help. But I think, I'm not saying that I don't think Mike can be successful as the play caller. It's just, I'm hesitant to I'd kind of like to see them bring in a Washington, or not a Washington. I saw somebody say Washington in the chat.
Yeah,
like them bringing an OC. Like them see bringing an OC. And I understand. I saw that Ultra Cowboy talked about, different, Sean McVay calling plays, got him a Super Bowl. Andy Reid calling plays, got him a Super Bowl. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying you've seen a lot of them that haven't done the best, where it hasn't went over well for him. So, I guess we'll see though, what Mike McCarthy was kind of run out of Green Bay for his lack of creativity on the offensive side of the ball. So, maybe now is his chance to, let people know he's still got it. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think every coach has kind of a timeline. I think he was like 10 or some years in, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I'm definitely thinking that he needs to do it his way. He's the coach. It's just like I always said. If you're the running the company and you're running the team, you need to be the leader. You need to do it your way. It's just like in my job, I have people who I work with who report to me. I'm going to listen to them, but ultimately my job's on the line. I've got to do it my way. Obviously you take the input and you do everything, but And that's the way it is with McCarthy. He's got to be able to do it his way. And if he doesn't believe in the offense that is being run, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah,
So
right.
jump to a couple other topics. You kind of pivoted over. So we're going to get to Dak, but Steven made a interesting comment about Zeke, and they asked him about thoughts on Zeke, and he was very complimentary to Zeke. Didn't feel he lost any steps. He feels he's in still a top running back. All that other good stuff. I think I'm hoping it was lip service. I mean, you don't want. I would never, if I was the owner of a team or anything, and it's like I said, even people you work with, I would never bash anyone I work with publicly or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I think the comments are they're running with them, saying, "Hell, here we go, a delusional front office." I'd be hard pressed to think that Zeke is here next year unless he is taking a enormous pay
Right.
cut, and his role would change into more of a short yardage. He would convert into those running backs that kind of turn into that later on in the career, short yardage, situational kind of running back.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bash on Zeke because really I like him. I think he's a great guy for the locker room. I think he's a great teammate. I think he's a guy that does what it takes to win. That being said, as a front office, you got to take the emotions out of it and
Yeah.
understand it's a business. And you'd be hard pressed right now, in my opinion, to find 31 other teams, any one of them that are going to be like, hey, we need Zeke on this team. Just he looked labored. Everything he did looked very hard. Um, if Zeke stays on this team, I agree. He'd be a situational type running back. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be, even a guy that's splitting carries. I don't think he's even that guy going
No.
forward, splitting carries. I think he's a guy where he's getting, maybe 5 to 10 carries a game. I mean, it's not going to be a lot. I think the Cowboys are going to look at drafting a running back. I think they're going to draft a running back this year. And I'd be very surprised if Zeke is back. I understand he wants to be back, but if he does come back, he's going to have to understand it's going to be in a totally different role. He's going to have to understand it's going to be for a lot less money. It's just, it's the nature of the business, and it's the facts, man. We as fans all saw it. So I get Steven and Jerry, not wanting to bash him, and that's fine. That's fine. But you can't sit there and say that Zeke hasn't fallen off, because he has. I mean, I've seen it with my own two eyes, and it happens with running backs. That's what happens. You got a short shelf life. So, I mean, he was great for, a few years. He still is a great run blocker, but you don't pay a running back to be a run block or a pass blocker. You don't pay him to pass block. So,
no. And it's tough. I got I'm a huge Zeke fan. I'm a fan of running backs. So running backs are usually my favorite players on teams. So I love Zeke. I'm looking at, the old school Zeke in front of me where he's hurdling over the Bears player. I'm looking at that picture. I'm looking at a signed helmet I got, early on. I love Zeke. He's been a class act. I know I don't want to hear about all that garbage in college that never was proven out, and all the BS that Goodell put him through. But he's always been there. He's been a great teammate, even with Pollard. You saw the transition this year, especially Pollard getting to the Pro Bowl. He was very, happy for him, and there was no animosity. He's been a great team guy. So having someone like that in the locker room is great, but it's a business. And I don't want to talk salary. I just want to talk cap hit. And because he earned every penny that he got paid. And there ain't no doubt about it. These NFL players, and if you don't know about it, go back and listen to some of these interviews. Listen to Brad Johnson. Listen to, I got Charlie Waters coming up. Listen to Larry Cole, Rod Martin, all these guys. They pay a price to play in the NFL. And these guys get paid, and I get it. But, look at what Tom Brady just signed for to be in the booth. 10 years, $375 million. He ain't getting hit. He's not getting beat up. And that's why I laugh. Like I see these tweets about Tony Romo is going to be our needs to be our offensive coordinator. You think he wants to come down to do that shit for $4 or $5 million a year when he's getting $18 million, $20 million, calling what 16 games a year?
No.
I mean, it ain't happening. So I think it's going to happen. I think it's unfortunate. I think pride will prevent Zeke from taking any contract that I think that would be fair for what he would be with this team. So I think, unfortunately, it breaks my heart to say, but I think we probably saw the last of him, and it's another reason why Moore's got to go, and I'm glad he's gone. That last play of the game, putting him to hike the ball and just get absolutely blown up is the last memory and last play that he probably had in the Cowboys uniform, and that to me is disgraceful as well.
Yeah. There, honestly, if I was Ezekiel Elliott, I'd take a picture of that and I'd write a big FU on it and send it to Kellen Moore. If that's my last play as a Cowboy, I mean, Jesus, that was just, oh God, 2 years in a row, man, where the last play of the game was just a complete, what in the fuck are we doing here? Like, I mean, just total embarrassment, man, and memes and gifs and viral all over the place.
It just gives them more fuel,
It does.
Like I said, sometimes it's better to get beat 27-10 and just let it get over with than that.
Yeah, you know what it reminded me of, and the his voice is going through, but the great iconic movie for me anyway. I love Varsity Blues. And when he goes to run, he says hook and ladder, and he's like, hook and fucking ladder. What the hell is that shit? That's what I was thinking when I'm seeing that play. I'm going, what in the hell is this shit he's running? I'm like, geez, man, what are we doing? Drawing shit up in a sandbox? Oh man. Jimmy, I apologize. Jimmy, you can't.
Just so you know, Jimmy D and we live in the movies, and that line is from Smokey and the Bandit, one of our favorite, old school movies. So it was, So one time I was dating this girl, and she, all my friends, and we all do it. All we do is recite movie lines. I can give you movie lines from anything,
I love it.
and put it in a life situation. And she's like, all you and your friends do is live your life through movies. And I'm saying, what? So what's wrong with that, man? We're having fun. Get the hell out of here if you don't like it. No, you know what I mean?
I'm the same way with my buddies, man. We're always quoting movie lines to each other and shit, man. I think that's a guy thing, man. But I've got a steel trap for movies and movie lines, so I love reciting shit like that. That's
the other one was she said, because all her friends, you get your friends go everywhere. I was living in South Florida. I moved to Tampa, so I got friends in South Florida. Jimmy went to New York. Other ones were here. But when we get together, man, it's what I love about your bros. Girls, it's totally different. Women, they don't have that. But I cannot see a friend in 10 years, and if we go to meet up at a bar, it is like we just hung out yesterday. And that's just the way it always was. And it's the same thing. The same girl goes, all you and your friends do is live in the past. It's like, well, we love the past. That's all we got to talk about.
Yeah, it's nostalgia. Yes, nostalgia. Yeah, exactly, man. Serve me up a cold beer and a little bit of nostalgia. I love it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit on Jimmy's in the hot tub with Uncle Cheech.
Oh shit! Hopefully he's got a good cigar going on there.
Uncle Cheech is trying to figure out how to get that 5 large back, but no. The other thing I want to touch on is another comment. I can't remember if this was Steven. I think it was Jerry talking about Dak Prescott and contract extension. I mean, is this for image of the Cowboys? I think I know where they're going with it, but to say it is not best. I think what they're looking for is cap relief, putting money to the side, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily he's going to play out all of that, but you're kind of, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You like all these teams, they move, but they made it as an extension, saying, hey, we want him here even much longer than the contract. Is that something that you really want to say after the kind of year, and you got to call it for what it is? It was a disappointing year for him to the standard of quarterback that he's been, and that you'd expect.
Well, no, but I mean, the Cowboys have never been smart when it comes to contract negotiations. I mean, it's like playing, a game of poker. You don't go into the game of poker and you tell them what your fucking hand is before the flop comes out. I mean, that's kind of what I associate that to. You're sitting there talking about you want to extend them. I mean, no, if anything, I'm saying, I'm not saying that I wouldn't extend him. So, wink, I get what you're saying, Winston. It's my brother-in-law there, but I get what he's saying. But I don't know that I would say that I'm not extending Dak Prescott, but I'm not sitting there saying it. I'm not telling him that. I'm going to make him feel uncomfortable. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm maybe not in one of the first 3 rounds, but I'm drafting a quarterback. I'm going to draft a guy and I'm going to bring a guy in here and I'm going to get some competition. If there's a good free agent, which I don't think there really is going to be any good free agent quarterbacks this year, but if there were, I'm bringing a guy in. I'm going to put a little bit of heat on Prescott and let him know, hey, look, job's not necessarily secure. We get it. You've won a lot of games. Your winning percentage is all this, and you've done this in terms of stats. But hey, look, man, it's time to win in the playoffs. It's time to start winning the playoffs. We heard Brad Johnson say it when we were interviewing him yesterday. Fair or not, legacy is made in the playoffs. And me and you both have talked about it and agreed on it, and that's where your legacy is made. It's by making your bones in the playoffs. And if you can't do that, well, gonna have to find somebody that can. So yeah, I don't like it that they're sitting there making him feel comfortable. I mean, if you suck at your job and your boss is telling you, hey, Mike, I think I'm gonna give you a raise, even though you've missed your quota for the last 3 months. I think I'm gonna give you a raise. And what incentive do you have to really try harder?
Yeah.
If your job's on the line and you're scared you may get fired, then you're really gonna buckle down and be like, shit, I gotta get it together. I may be out the door, So but I don't expect, Steven or Jerry really to do the things that I think the way that I would handle shit. So, not a surprise.
No. And again, you got to give, I hate that there's like a punch in the gut, punch in the side. I mean, the Eagles had signed Carson Wentz to a pretty good deal at the time, and he wasn't showing results, and he had a bad year, and they drafted Jalen Hurts, and it's worked out pretty well for him now. Super Bowl.
Yep.
So you see that happen. I forgot what coach it was that said you should draft a quarterback every year. I don't know, maybe it was a draft expert or a coach. It was someone, and it makes a lot of sense. It's like you should, because if you can hit on a quarterback, especially if you get one like Purdy was for the Niners, or you got Hurts has been, you're getting a guy in a rookie deal. That's, I mean, I think it was Ultra who said it about the Eagles. Well, they're on a rookie deal with Hurts, but we had that luxury for 4 years, and the Cowboys didn't go all in, and that's just another example of wasted opportunity. Yeah, and it's just it frustrates every Cowboys fan. It frustrates the hell out of me because I'm sitting there begging and pleading. My man Kelly, you got, I saw you with the ink. I mean, we forgot to show it to Brad, but you got 8, 22, and 88. Man, I love those years, but damn it, man, you give me some new numbers.
Yeah, no joke, man. I want to be something to to celebrate about. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, man. I feel like that, the Cowboys just seem to be, they're like, hey, Dak's winning us some games. He's keeping us in the mix. We don't, we're not a horrible team. We're winning, back-to-back seasons where we won 12 games, Yeah. No, I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about the culture and stuff within Dallas, and it's just like, it's almost like in a way that mediocrity is just accepted, and where I feel like other franchises are like, no, man, we want more than that. And I feel like us, the Cowboys, more than any other franchise, should feel like, no, we're not going to settle for that. We're not going to settle for 12 wins. We're not going to settle for a playoff win and then getting bounced in the next round of the playoffs. We're not going to settle for, being a one and done playoff team. We're not going to settle for winning the NFC East. Won a Super Bowl. That's the standard when you walk through the door and you play for the Dallas Cowboys is Super Bowl every single year. So if the Cowboys would have went all in with Dak Prescott and exhausted all their resources and built this huge team around Prescott, and we won a Super Bowl, and then when it was time to pay guys, it was time to blow it up and rebuild it, and we were going to suck for 2-3 years, I'd have been happy with that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have been happy. Give me a Super Bowl. If you told me right now that we could have won the Super Bowl this year, but the next 3 years we're going to be a sub 500 team, I'd take it in a heartbeat. Give it, all day long, I'd take that. But it just seems like they just can't get it right. They just can't get it right for whatever.
And I said this publicly, hopefully I don't get too bashed for it, but when Tom Brady, when everything happened with New England, I've told people if Dak was on kind of like those franchise deals, I would have cut bait and got Tom Brady in Dallas at any means necessary because I knew he'd win a Super Bowl. And maybe we only get one out of it, and Tampa got one out of it, but damn, that one that one felt pretty damn good. I know if you're a Bucs fan, and maybe it don't feel good now that he's gone, but you want to build the team, and I get it, but you gotta want to win. You gotta put all the chips in, and that's like what you said to Philly. You gotta give them credit. They were winning. They were running away with the division, and then they said, you know what, our run defense, we're getting a little hit up. Well, hey, let's just go get Sue. Let's get Linville Joseph. Let's get some beef, and let's see if we can fix it. And they did that. They were a little trouble at receiver. They went on it. They went and got Brown. Look what Brown's making. Look what his cap hit is. Why didn't Dallas, you could say, well, why wouldn't Dallas look at that? I mean, he's only like $14 million cap hit. Yeah, he's going to want to get paid next year, but let's worry about next year. Let's not worry about it this year. So that's the frustrating part, I think, and I think it's more Steven than Jerry, because you and I, we remember Jerry when he was Jerry. We remember Jerry when he was just signing. I mean, Deion Sanders is big deals, and bringing in these guys and this guy and Glover and all these guys that they were bringing in, trading to get Joey Galloway just to get a little bit more life out of Troy Aikman, just to try and get a little bit more because the injury to Michael Irvin, and gave up 2 ones, which ended up not really being worth it. But shit, man, he tried. I mean, you can't. He tried. I mean, you can't hate him for that. So. That's what I want to see this year. And I think if that happens, then the crap that we had to deal with, Haley, that was another, the crap that we had to deal with the Eagles, running away with the division, it made it worth it because it finally got Jerry to be Jerry and say, you know what? I don't have any more years. I know hopefully I got more years left than he does, just by age. I don't want anything to happen to him. But hey, he's getting up there in age, man. And it's like, hey, I want to taste it one more time. I mean, enough's enough. So that's what I'm hoping, man. It's just, it gets frustrating. I mean, we all feel it.
Yeah, no, we do. And then, like I said, it doesn't make it any easier when you see other teams that do what we have been begging the Cowboys to do. You see other teams do that and be rewarded for it and, and be in the Super Bowl. So, and to have, Steven say, that line about, well, you can't, you don't win a Super Bowl in the offseason. But like I said, you can lose one. Yeah. You can lose one. You don't win a Super Bowl by sitting on your hands either. You don't win a Super Bowl by, I think what frustrated fans the most this year, and obviously Mike McCarthy did a great job of getting the best out of the squad. We won 12 again, but I felt all offseason that we didn't do enough to make this team better. And I stood by it. Now, and what I think we saw was I thought the team was a little bit better. I thought they overachieved, actually, because I really do. I think with what we had on this team, I think this Cowboys team overachieved. And I credit the coaching staff on doing a really good job, on doing that. Quinn getting this defense to play up. And, but it's just discouraging, man. You've got a team that you feel like is just on the bubble. They're just right there. And you feel like this team is close, but what are they doing to push us over the hump?
Yeah.
Show us something.
And that's what someone said, this team, someone came, oh, Dallas is they're far away. They're not. I mean, they beat Cincinnati with a backup quarterback. They beat Cincinnati. We talked about it earlier, and Jose, he mentioned, I mean, we dropped 40 We dropped 40 on this defense that they want to compare to the 85 Bears. I don't care that Hurts didn't play. Forget that. Fine, he
Yeah,
didn't play. We still dropped 40 on him.
yeah,
So we've got this team is not far away. It needs to just reload a little bit and get another receiver. Gallup. You don't know how that injury. That's usually a 2-year injury, but we can't hope, and that's what they did. Hope that when he comes back, he's there. If he's back next year and he's back to the way Gallup that we know pre-injury, then that's a bonus. But we got to go get a receiver that's bona fide that can take some more pressure off of CD, who did, how he got the yards and how he got the catches and how he got all that with what his supporting cast was really amazing, because he didn't really have any supporting cast. Gallup was a shell of himself recovering from that injury. Noah Brown, he's a nice guy, a good blocker, but he's not scaring anybody,
yeah,
So they've got to address that, and they've got to figure out what they're going to do at running back. And I think with this draft, you're going to see an emphasis on offense, especially with McCarthy. He's called the plays. Hey, man, we got to make sure that you ain't gonna make me look bad. We're gonna get some pieces of this puzzle. The defense can be and is there to be that dominant, the face of the team. Now we're going to dominate with defense, and our offense is going to control the ball. We're going to punish you, and we're going to make the plays when we need to make them, and we're just going to, and beat you that way. We don't need to be putting up 35 points a game. If they do, great, but our defense is building up strong enough to where, you held the Niners to 19 points, man. You gotta win. You gotta win that game, and throwing a pick inside the red zone too. So you got to win that game. And this defense, for the most part, all year, held up their end of the bargain.
yeah, they did. There was a few slip ups there where they, Green Bay game comes to mind, but that's the defense was really good, and I feel like they'll be really good again next year. It's just we got to get things clicking on this offensive side of the ball, and if this team can play, good, clean football and sound football, and just be able to make adjustments as well. I don't feel we were a great team adjusting, and I put a lot of that on Kellen Moore. I feel like he's one of those guys that draws up a game plan and just sticks with it. Like whether it's working or not. I kind of compare it to, and I'm not taking anything away from Kellen Moore, because whatever his accolades that he's got, he's been at the highest level. But playing my son in Madden, he runs the same play over and over again, and sometimes it works out well for him, and other times it's disastrous. But he's still going to run that same play over and over again because he knows that it's had success in the past. And but when you go up against somebody that's ready for it, that's seen it 1,000 times, that doesn't work out the best for you. So you might need to change it up every once in a while. And I feel like Kellen Moore didn't do that. He just stuck with it regardless of what, and that's just Kellen Moore in a nutshell to me. So, I got to be optimistic about next year, man. I just feel like, we don't have a choice, man. We're going to have to be aggressive. You got the Philadelphia Eagles got 2 first-round picks next year. And they're playing in the Super Bowl, and they're going to be able to add 2 first-round picks to their team next year. Now, one thing I will say about Philly is that they haven't drafted the greatest.
Yep.
So,
so
those 2 first-round picks may not do them like what they would if the Cowboys do, because if the Cowboys had 2 first-round picks, I'm going to say, hey, we're going to get 2 impact starters, because that's what we do. That's what we do when we draft. So if the Cowboys, though, stick to that philosophy, keep drafting. We got a young team. We've got a good core. They just have to be aggressive. If there's a guy out there that can add to this team, free agent, grab him, man. Don't be gun shy on it. Go out and get somebody to help this offense. Go out and get somebody to put this defense in an even higher, elite status than they were this season. So aggressiveness is what I want to see from this Cowboys team and front office going into the next season. So.
Yeah, I think, and I agree, and we could wrap it up. I want to see him get aggressive, but I want to see him get some guys in here, impact players that have championship experience, I don't want backups with championship experience. I want guys that you can bring in there that start, that can help lead this team and show them the way inside the locker room, how to get it done. Because I think that's always what's been missing. They had Peters. I know we talked about it last time, but I mean, he came in late in the year, and I mean, he's 41 years old. I want guys that can make a difference, that can lead on the field, and that been to the promised land and hoisted up that Lombardi. That's what I think this team needs to get. And you look at what the Cowboys, we live in a past, so I'll go back to the past. You go in the 90s, Charles Haley, that was the difference maker. He was a difference maker on a team to get him over the top. He came from San Francisco, had a lot of, had some championship rings there, won 2 with San Francisco. So he came in, he knew how to get it done. Yeah, he was a little crazy. If you want to hear some great stories on Charles Haley, watch that video I did interview with Dexter Carter. They played together in San Francisco. He was one of the players that he didn't like, but he understood because he came out with some of the bipolar issues. The other one was Bill Romanowski, who threw a microwave oven at him. But anyway, it's a really good story. If you didn't hear it, check it out. But that's what they need to do. Hopefully they get it done. Hopefully it happens. I mean, but we live in hope, and it's the beauty of the NFL is beginning of the season, we all got hope. And like I said, this team's going to be there. They're going to, barring any catastrophe, injury wise, knock on wood, pray it doesn't happen. This team is going to be in the mix. And if you see the NFC, unless something really shakes up, the NFC is not a quarterback driven conference. The AFC is just loaded with these guys. The NFC there's not a lot, and it's going to be wide open. It's going to be get in the playoffs, get hot, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. I feel like, you gotta like our chances, next year. If we can make some of the right moves, it's all about the moves that they're going to make in the offseason. It'll be about the guys that they draft. It'll be, salary cap wise, I think the Cowboys will be fine. I think they're going to I saw a deal the other day said that they could restructure between, I think it was 4 or 5 contracts, and just within that amount, it could get them I think they said almost $75 million. So right now as it stands, I think they said they're like $7 million over cap, but with all those restructures, it could give them like $75 million. That's a lot of money. That's going to be some money to extend some guys. I'm sure they're going to start, I think, we've got a lot of free agents, and we can get into that later because let's get into that now. But the Cowboys got some work to do. They got some work to do, but they do good at drafting, and that's where I like them to make their bones at, is drafting solid players. We've got some guys that we hit on a lot of guys in this last draft. I feel like we'll do it again this year. So, keep doing that and keep building your core full of these young playmakers. And like you said, let's just be aggressive and see what happens, man. I'm ready to roll the dice again.
Yeah. Well, the beauty, the beauty of Stephen Jones, the one good thing he said so far is this is a 365-day business, right? So we're going to be here every week. We're going to be here, barring some vacation. You hit the summertime, we all need a break, but the draft will be coming up. We're going to be working on some draft guests. We're going to be getting that going. We've got some interviews, some Cowboy players, and some content we're working on. I did an interview with Charlie Waters, talked a little bit about it earlier. That's going to drop tomorrow morning. I got it finally all loaded up. We're working on another interview. Keep our fingers crossed, because this would be a pretty good one. Again, it's in the 70s. We're going to learn some history, but this is a quarterback who played in a Super Bowl, but played on the Cowboys, but also played in a Super Bowl against another team. I'll let you guys figure it out. But we got a verbal commitment that he wants to enter the cave and talk a little Cowboys football with us. So hopefully we'll make that happen soon, and then maybe there's a couple other pretty big guests and ideas that we've got floating around that we might be dropping. So you guys got to make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching the video, you got to hit that like button. You got to do that stuff, because that spreads the word. It don't cost you a nickel. Don't cost you nothing. It just helps your brothers out, right? Help Kelly K9 and Mike out. Get this thing rolling, because we're having a good time. Yeah,
that's right. Don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed and you're in the chat, shame on you. No,
Absolutely.
hit the subscribe button though, man. It helps us out. And if you got anybody that likes watching Cowboys football, turn them onto this channel, send them the link, copy the link, paste it, send it out in a text, post it on your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff, man. We'll take all the traction we can get. So
We could get and
keep
the
pushing.
channel as a whole is growing. My man Jimmy D and I on Monday nights, but he's a big wrestling guy, and so we might be mixing in some wrestling interviews. And
I see Miss Elliott just entered the chat.
ah,
Don, how's it going, Don? Sorry, enter the chat.
yeah. All right. Well, hopefully, Miss Elliott subscribe. That's the most important thing. Hopefully, she hit that one to subscribe. But, no, we appreciate it, and it's always good. And meeting her, my daughter still talks about it. It was just such a great experience. We weren't able to hook up in Tampa. I was at First Take. She got there a little later, but your boy was able to get on TV, and she's loyal. I love it. I appreciate it.
She's the best.
Yes,
she is the
absolutely.
best. She's one of the great fans of Cowboys Nation, and yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, couldn't. Yeah, no. Like I said, no better person, no better family. So
Absolutely not.
I appreciate it. We will see you guys next week. Look for that Charlie Waters interview. I'm telling you, it's a good interview. It's an audio one, but you get to look at my mug for about 45 minutes. So what's wrong with that? They call me a boomer, old, whatever. What are they calling us, Kelly? Old and gray or whatever. Those
I don't know. I had the Philly fans coming after me, kept telling me I was 48 years old, and I'm like, I'm not 48 yet. Don't put me in that. I'm 42 years old. I wasn't going to correct him. I said, you know what? You tell me that I'm old. Old is not an insult to me. That just means that I've gotten wiser with my age. So that
absolutely.
Don't make me use his old wisdom on him.
And it confirms that we saw 3 Super Bowl championships. They've only seen one, so shut your mouth. So anyway, we'll get out of here. We're talking all night. We appreciate everyone in the chat. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe. We will see you next week. I'm out of here. Kelly, you out of here?
I'm out of here. Thanks for everybody tuning in the chat, man. We love and appreciate all you guys.
All right. Take